I keep thinking about that moment when Brooklyn walks into Alexis's office. Not dramatic like in the movies, not with background music swelling, just heavy steps, a face trying to look strong. Brooklyn Quartermain is not the type who easily admits she is scared, but this time I think she is. She wants advice, legal advice maybe, but also emotional reassurance. And Alexis Davis has that sharp mind, that lawyer instinct, but also a soft spot for women trying to hold their families together. Brooklyn and Chase deciding to adopt feels impulsive and yet strangely logical. Harrison Chase has always wanted to be the good guy, the protector, the man who builds something stable. Adoption right now, at this exact messy, chaotic time, almost feels like they are trying to glue their marriage with a baby. I know that sounds harsh, but sometimes couples do that. They think a child will anchor them, give them a shared purpose so powerful that all cracks just disappear. That is not how life works, but when you are in love, or desperate, or both, you convince yourself it might. I personally think Brooklyn wants this baby not just because she loves Chase. She wants something that is theirs. Something untouched by drama, untouched by the shadows of Michael and Willow and all that chaos. She wants a fresh chapter. A small, warm body in her arms, proof that they are building something real. And Chase agrees, maybe too quickly. He sees adoption as hope, redemption even. He has been drowning in this obsession with helping Willow, and maybe a child would redirect his focus. But nothing is ever simple in Port Charles. And with General Hospital, happiness is almost suspicious. When something looks too perfect, you know a storm is already forming. Chase helping Willow has crossed lines. I do not even know how else to say it. Willow Tate is fragile, yes, but she is also manipulative in ways people underestimate. Chase insisting on putting Michael in prison feels excessive, personal, almost obsessive. Michael Corinthos is not innocent in life overall, but in this specific situation, Chase's determination feels unbalanced. Brooklyn sees that. She is not blind. I imagine late night arguments. Quiet at first, then louder. Brooklyn telling him he is making a mistake, that he is letting anger and loyalty cloud his judgment. Chase standing firm, saying it is about justice, that he cannot let Michael walk free. The word justice gets thrown around too easily. Justice for who? For Willow. For himself. Or is it revenge disguised as righteousness? Brooklyn might reach a point where she says, fine, adopt the baby. Move forward. I will forgive whatever you have done. I will even forgive what you might do. That kind of love is dangerous. Forgiving everything before you even know the full truth. But she loves him. That is the problem. Chase, though, does not bend. He keeps pushing the investigation. He is not the one who planted the key in Michael's keyring. That detail matters. He did not set the trap, but he did secretly take Michael's keys to test if one could open Drew's house. Drew Kane is part of this web too. And the door, the key, the silent test, all of it becomes this tiny action with huge consequences. Chase returns the keyring quietly, thinking no one noticed. That is the tragic part. He believes he is operating in the shadows successfully, but Wiley sees him. Wiley Corinthos is just a child, and children see everything at the worst possible times. Wiley does not understand nuance. He just sees Chase with his father's keys sneaking. That image alone can destroy a man's reputation. So when the accusation explodes, when fingers point at Chase as the one who framed Michael, it sticks. Because there is a witness. Even if that witness is small, confused, innocent. What makes this worse is that Chase may not even know Willow orchestrated the real setup. He walked straight into her trap without realizing it. That kind of irony hurts. He thinks he is protecting her, fighting for her, while she quietly ensures events unfold in her favor. I do not want to villainize Willow completely, but she is not passive here. She makes choices, and Chase becomes collateral damage. Meanwhile, Brooklyn and Chase are trying to finalize an adoption. I can picture the scene. They get the call. A baby, orphaned, in need of a home. Brooklyn cries. Chase holds her, overwhelmed. They prepare a small celebration, maybe at the Quartermain house, maybe something intimate. Balloons that look slightly out of place in a mansion used to corporate battles and family feuds. For one day, maybe less, Chase gets to be a father. He holds the child, awkward but proud. Brooklyn watches him and thinks this is it. This is the man I married. This is our future. And then the knock at the door. Police. The timing would be brutal, almost cruel in a way that only soap operas dare to be. Arresting Chase on suspicion of framing Michael, dragging him away while the baby cries in another room. Brooklyn frozen, unable to process what is happening. That kind of shock does not hit cleanly. It hits sideways, like your body does not recognize reality. If Brooklyn believes he framed Michael even for a second, it could shatter her. She has defended him, argued for him, trusted him. If she thinks he betrayed that trust, divorce becomes immediate in her mind. Not because she stops loving him instantly, but because she cannot build a family on lies, especially not with an adopted child already thrown into chaos. I honestly would understand her wanting out. Not because Chase is evil, but because the pattern is exhausting. Always drama, always secrets, always someone else's mess spilling into their marriage. There is another possibility though, one that feels almost too dramatic, but this is Port Charles. Chase could have been told he is infertile. That weight, that quiet shame, that private grief. Maybe that is part of why adoption seemed urgent. A way to bypass biology and still have a family. He might have accepted that he cannot have biological children. He might have told Brooklyn gently, bracing for her disappointment. And then the miracle. Brooklyn feeling strange, tired, nauseous, taking a test almost as a joke. And it is positive. She stares at it, not believing. Pregnant with Chase's child. The impossible suddenly possible. I imagine her telling him with tears, both laughing and confused, him stunned, maybe even scared to hope. Because what if it is wrong? What if the doctor was wrong? What if this is the one thing that proves fate is not completely cruel? But joy in this world never stands alone. Right after the announcement, right after that fragile bubble of happiness forms, the police arrive to arrest Chase. The contrast would be devastating. From future father of a miracle baby to suspected criminal in handcuffs in minutes. Brooklyn could collapse under that kind of stress. Not in a dramatic faint for attention, a real physical shutdown. The human body can only take so much shock. If she falls, if she hits the floor, if the pregnancy is already delicate, miscarriage becomes a terrifying possibility. Stress hormones, trauma, heartbreak, they are not just emotional words. They do damage. And if she loses the baby because of this chaos, because of an accusation that may not even be true, it would change her forever. I do not know if their marriage survives that. Maybe it does. Sometimes tragedy binds people tighter. Sometimes it breaks them beyond repair. What frustrates me most is that Chase's biggest flaw here is not malice. It is stubbornness. He is so convinced he is right, so determined to be the hero, that he ignores how his actions look. Sneaking keys, investigating privately, aligning himself too closely with Willow's narrative. Optics matter. In a town where everyone watches everyone. Brooklyn, trying to steer him back to reason, feels like a wife watching her husband walk toward a cliff. She can shout, she can plead, but she cannot physically stop him. And when he falls, she falls with him. Adoption, biological miracle, arrest, miscarriage, divorce, any combination of these could unfold. That is what makes it tense. Nothing feels secure. Every happy step is built on unstable ground. I find myself torn. I want Chase to be innocent in the framing. I want Wiley's misunderstanding to be cleared up. I want Willow exposed if she truly orchestrated this. But I also want Chase to learn something. To realize that good intentions are not enough. That secrecy poisons trust. And Brooklyn, she deserves peace. She has fought for love, for family, for identity. Watching her possibly lose a child, whether adopted or biological, because of someone else's scheme, feels almost unfair even by soap standards. Still, this is the kind of storyline that grips people because it taps into real fears. Infertility, miscarriage, false accusations, marriage under pressure. The idea that you can do one small questionable thing, like borrowing a keyring, and it spirals into life-altering consequences. If Chase is arrested the day after becoming a father, the symbolism is brutal. Fatherhood beginning with separation. A baby growing up hearing that their dad was taken away in handcuffs. Even if he is later cleared, that stain lingers. And if Brooklyn miscarries after fainting from shock, that image would stay with viewers for years. The cost of secrets made visible in the most painful way possible. I do not think this story is about villain versus hero. It is about pride, misunderstanding, and timing. Terrible timing. Chase walking into a trap not because he is stupid, but because he believes he is doing the right thing. Brooklyn trying to build a family while the foundation cracks beneath her feet. Maybe the miracle pregnancy survives. Maybe the adoption holds. Maybe Chase is exonerated before permanent damage is done. Or maybe not. In Port Charles, hope and heartbreak travel together, almost inseparable. And honestly, that uncertainty is what keeps me watching.